Welcome. Let's arrive together with one breath. Nothing needs to be prepared. Nothing needs to be organized. Nothing needs to be figured out right now. Just notice the body here, breathing, supported. Let the body listen before the mind explains. In the previous episodes, we've been exploring how inner pressure forms, how protection becomes coercion, how residues shape the way the body responds to life. And we also began to see what happens when those residues start to resolve. Pressure softens, self-agency returns. But something interesting happens next. Something people rarely talk about. When pressure dissolves, clarity does not immediately rush in. And for many people, that moment can feel confusing because they've spent so much of their lives trying to produce clarity, trying to force direction, trying to decide what comes next. But when inner pressure disappears, life doesn't immediately replace it with answers. What appears first is something else. Space. When the body has been living under pressure for a long time, it becomes used to operating that way. Pressure creates urgency. Urgency creates movement. Movement creates the feeling that something is happening. So when that pressure dissolves, there can be a strange moment where everything feels open. Nothing is pushing. Nothing is demanding. Nothing is insisting that you decide something right now. And in that openness, people sometimes become uneasy. They begin to wonder, should I be figuring something out? Shouldn't I have more clarity by now? Shouldn't something be happening? But that reaction comes from the old system. The system that believed clarity had to be produced. What actually happens when pressure disappears is very different. Clarity stops being something you generate. It becomes something that appears when it is needed. And in the space between those moments, something quieter returns. You might notice small things again. The feeling of sunlight on the skin, the ease of a conversation that doesn't need managing, the simple satisfaction of breathing without a problem to solve. There is something many people forgot was possible. Not motivation, not productivity, not achievement. Just the quiet enjoyment of being alive. Sometimes people interpret this phase incorrectly. They think they've lost their drive, or that they've become passive, or that something important is missing. But what has actually disappeared is the pressure that used to force movement. And when that pressure leaves, the body begins to rediscover something very simple. Joy that doesn't require a reason. Not excitement, not intensity, just a gentle sense that being here is already enough. And from that place, something interesting begins to happen. Clarity starts appearing in its own rhythm. Not constantly, not on command, but exactly when life requires it. Clarity is not meant to be a permanent state. It appears when direction is needed. Then it dissolves again into the quiet rhythm of living. When pressure disappears, clarity is no longer something you chase. It becomes something life offers when the moment calls for it. And in the space between those moments, something even more valuable returns. The quiet joy of simply being alive. You don't need to apply this. Nothing needs to happen. Just notice the sensations now present when pressure isn't needed. Most people spend years believing that clarity must be forced, that direction must be produced, that something inside them must always be working things out. But life doesn't actually move that way. When pressure dissolves, space appears. And inside that space, the body begins to remember something. You don't have to manufacture clarity. Only remaining present for when it naturally arrives. And until then, there is nothing missing from this moment. Only the quiet joy of being here. Thank you for spending this moment in the field. If these reflections resonate with something you're experiencing, the Clarity Compass call is available through the link in the description. Until next time, let life reveal what comes next in its own rhythm.